There he ate it. Oh, he thumped it. Okay, YouTube, you only see the highs, you never see the lows. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is lake number 4 on the day. Lake number 4, the first 3 lakes and about 11 hours of the day were just a grind. I don't even know if we caught a walleye. Fished 3 lakes that are good fishing lakes, fished spots that always have fish and never caught. And I know people are like, oh, dog days of summer or whatever. I don't know what the deal was. We finally had our first cold fronts of the year too. It was 44 degrees this morning when we hit the access. And I don't know if that had him in a funk because it's kind of that first cold snap of the year. The water temp dropped like 8 degrees the last couple days. But lake number 4, they're actually eating and they're cooperating. So I know they say don't leave fish to find fish, but they were not biting on the first lake. So thank goodness. Jeez, maybe I should have netted this one. Thank goodness we did leave fish to find fish. And maybe I should learn how to land a fish. Oh my gosh, I will lose this thing yet. Oh, yeah, next time we'll net them. I didn't know if we were gonna catch one because of the way the day's been going, so I didn't have a net at the ready. And yeah, so lake number 4, the fish are in a completely different mood. They're shooting up, they're eating, they're cooperating, playing around with a new bait. Ouch, get off of there. That clearly has good hooks. I cannot get it out of there. It's kind of like a hybrid of a jig and crawler and kind of like the death jig trend. And it's working. I'll talk a little bit more about it here soon, but the first thing I want you to take out of this is we all struggle. And I should have ended the day 3 lakes ago and gone home. But lake number 4 is paying off. Like I said, sometimes the lake you're on is literally just off. I was on 3 different lakes that were literally some of the best lakes in the area where I've had my best days of the whole year and never caught a walleye. And something was just off on those lakes and we moved to a different lake just 15 minutes down the road, but it's bigger, deeper. You know, it's probably like 5 times the size, and I don't know if those smaller lakes were more impacted by the cold front that came through and had those fish more in a funk, and the bigger lake maybe wasn't impacted as much, but something is way different out here than the first 3 lakes. And I'll take it. We're chasing around big, giant, suspended late summer walleyes. We're casting at fish that are all over 20 inches. If you catch one, it's gonna be probably like a 24 to 28. It's one of my favorite bites of the year. And right now we got a really strong thermocline set up down below like 24 to 28 feet of water. Kind of depends where you're at on the lake. And these things are chasing bait out here. They're suspended from 10 to 20 feet down using a new little jig here. It's called the VMC Snitch. It's a jig with a tiny little prop blade on there. You can put a crawler on it, you can put a plastic on it, but I'm slow rolling it above their heads and they are flying up and demolishing it. I'll talk more about that bait in a little bit here. We're gonna keep tracking down some of these big plus size late summer walleyes. Big. This thing is flying up already. I'm just gonna slowly reel and bop my tip. Wait for it to mush up. Ran like a smallie, but I don't know, I haven't seen it. Largemouth don't normally do that. It's gotta be a smallmouth. Right off of that little rock point. Oh my gosh, this thing is not giving up. I would bet money it's a smallmouth, the way it's still diving and running. Yeah. Dude, smallies are the coolest. They never stop. And they all fight like they're 5 pounds. All right, we're going football. We're going football style. I thought he was gonna be bigger. Oh, he's coming in hot. Come on. That thing came up like 10 feet. Did you see that? Oh. Shoot, dude. Dude, that thing wanted that. Holy smokes. All right, so a little bit more about this VMC Snitch Jig. What's cool is it reminds me of like a hybrid of a regular jig head and then like a death jig style bait, where it's got this little prop on there, almost like a spy bait, little twin prop that will spin at the slowest speeds ever. And so the cool thing is you can slow roll it over suspended fish, but how many times are you slow rolling a death style jig over a fish and then they turn down and don't eat? And so the difference is you can still kill it, and then you can just go into jig crawler mode and just slowly bop it or fish it down and have them eat it. You can fish it like a jig and a crawler, or you can slow roll it over the top. That's essentially the deal. So it's a 2-for-1, double whammy, no matter how they want to eat. And I've been having a lot of fun playing with it this summer. So as you can see here, got this little tiny prop there, and it's got this weight forward teardrop jig head. So it makes the water flow over it, and then it's wide open in front of that. And it's the smallest amount of movement to spin this prop. It can just barely be, basically you're like sitting still, and it'll just be underneath the water. It's got a little fluorocarbon keeper that does a good job of keeping a crawler on. It's actually designed for a crawler on the back for this technique, but you can play around with plastics on it. I'll put a little mooch minnow on there on the bigger size too, especially if you're fishing it like where you're rolling it over the top, trying to get them to come up and eat it. I love this color. I don't know what it's called, but it's purple, little chartreuse, little silver. And then you know the VMC bladed hybrid treble, how having a little bit of flash on crankbaits or jig wraps can make all the difference. There have been times where I've noticed having that little bit of flash on the jig crawler also makes that same kind of difference, where I just don't think it hurts me. I think it gets me, some days I get twice as many bites, 3 times as many bites, but I think it's like 1-to-1 on a bad day. So it's something I've been playing around with a lot. And actually the very first fish I ever caught on it was a 30-inch walleye. So I might be a little biased. When your first fish ever on a bait is a 30-incher, it's something that I'm getting a lot more confidence in for sure. Oh, the little perch or whatever grabbed it. Just felt tick, 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 tick. Well, we should have came to this lake hours and hours and hours ago. We're running out of daylight right now, and like I said, we were doing a big fish mission looking for suspended fish off a structure, and once that light starts to dip and you're getting towards that twilight time, that bite shuts off. And yeah, you can push up on these shallow edges and catch some fish up shallow. I mean, that's how we walleye fish forever, right? But those big suspended ones kind of shut down. What we were doing is just pulling up to look for typical classic walleye spots, really nice pieces of structure, but we're looking over our back shoulder for those bigger bites. Yeah, there's fish on that edge where those weeds taper off, whether it's a point. This is the edge of just a big giant feeding flat. It breaks off from like 15 down to 30. And there's lots of eater sized walleyes right on that lip. But you look back over your shoulder, and from 10 to 24 feet down, you got those big over suspended cruising around. And when we're on a big fish mission, that's what we focus on. And what I was throwing this on was a 7.2 medium light fast Fenwick Elite. I like having that little bit mushier tip because of the times when I am slow rolling that bait and letting it kind of like, you feel the bite and you can set it too soon, sort of like a death jig style bite. So letting it mush up a little bit before I set the hook. But the beauty in it is that you can obviously kill it and then fish it like a jig and crawler, do the little bops, and that I still like that mushy tip for that, but you need the backbone to be able to drive that hook home. It's got a big 2/0 hook. I was throwing the 3/16 ounce size today. That's the smallest size, and then it goes all the way up to a half. Obviously, you don't have to just throw it at suspended fish. I mean, a jig and a crawler, a jig and a plastic catches walleyes everywhere. Another awesome presentation for this would be throwing it up on top of these weed flats and just slow rolling it over the top and letting those fish come out of the weeds and hit it. Just like you would troll spinners across through here, but instead you're casting your spinner and casting at specific spots and bringing it over the top. It was a long day. It took us a long time to get onto that fun bite, but man, was it worth it, and it paid off because a handful of those fish were that trophy caliber that we're chasing. None of this would be possible without you, so thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you hated, what you loved, what you liked, what you want to see next, and I'll see you next time on the water.